Here's the scenario. You want to preserve your fertility. You're not ready to have a baby yet. You're not sure if you should freeze eggs or, in the event that you have a partner, if you should freeze embryos. And this is a very important decision because once you envision that you do the freezing, you walk away, what you really want to know is, what do I have in the freezer? What's the potential that if I come back in the future and I use this, I thaw out the egg or the embryo, what is the chance that I'll take home a baby? Hi friends, Peter Uzelak, the Embryo MD here with another Baby Bites. Today I'd like to talk to you about reproductive potential. I'm going to make an analogy to winemaking. My analogy is this. If you took a grape and you picked a grape off of a vine and you tried to make a prediction about how that bottle of wine would taste, which is the end product of your grape, that is very analogous to taking a gamete, which is an egg or a sperm, and trying to tell what is the chance that that is going to turn into a baby. And so this concept of reproductive potentials, that's what can we tell about that? What can we tell about that in terms of a live-born baby? That's the ultimate goal, right? So for an egg, a lot of people are surprised to learn that if you just took one egg and you try to make a prediction of turning the egg into a baby, we have several papers suggesting that that is only about 5%. That's about a 5% chance that that egg will actually ultimately lead to a live-born child. Now, there's some more nuances in there. Let's say 5, 10%, maybe 15% max. But contrast that with an embryo, and not only just any embryo, but an advanced stage embryo. So what we refer to as a blastocyst. So this is an embryo that's made it through several days of culture and made it out to day 5, 6, or 7 even. And then at that point, you can test the embryo for genetic integrity. If you verify through a screening test 46 chromosomes there, you've now taken that embryo and you've elevated its status in terms of its reproductive potential to the highest that we can clinically. And that embryo now has roughly approaching 2/3 chance of implanting. So back to our grape to the bottle, it's the same idea, right? You're fermenting the grapes and you could check in on that and you could maybe taste. This is the principle. Every step you go further in the process, you know more about it, right? Same thing holds true in the IVF laboratory, going from an egg to a zygote, which is that first stage of being an embryo, day 1, to a cleavage stage embryo, to a day 5 embryo, a blastocyst. The further you go, the more you know that that is alive and therefore it does have potential. Okay, so why am I talking about all this? Well, when you walk away from preserving fertility, you want to count on as much as possible that that's going to actually come through for you one day. You can never guarantee that any frozen embryo or egg will ever come through as a baby. There's no guarantee of that, of course, but you definitely want to heighten the probability of it. So that's what I'm trying to break down here, is the difference between knowing what the potential of an egg is and what the embryo is. So let's throw out a couple scenarios here. Let's say that you are 40 years old and you're kind of contemplating eggs or embryos, and you don't want to have a child for another 2 years. So say you're going to wait till you're 42. So there's a lot of moving pieces in that scenario. But one of them would be, don't you want to walk away from your intervention knowing the most about what I actually just accomplished, right? And if you have just some eggs in the freezer, they'll tell you a lot less than the embryos in the freezer. So the potential of those is a lot less. So if you just took an egg versus an embryo, you always go with the embryo because the embryo's made it, right? The embryo's fertilized, it's grown, maybe it's gone through genetic testing, it's made it. So you always have more potential with that. That's how you can leverage this information to know what the right choices are for you. There may be a different scenario where you're 30 and you don't have a partner and your eggs are in general are of higher potential and you can get a lot of them. So even though, yes, they only have maybe a 5 or 10% potential for each, but maybe you can make 20 of them. That's quite a big potential overall. So that in that scenario, you may want to stick with an egg freezing intervention, not commit yourself to making embryos with a donor or a friend or a potential future partner. The key is, with this discussion of reproductive potential, understanding as you do these fertility treatments what you actually got, what do you have, what does it tell you, really what does it tell you, and matching that information to your life plan.
So I hope you found that useful, and if you did, please give me a thumbs up on this video, and please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Embryo MD.